What's in your thoughts? Oh, what's in your mind? What fills your head and what leaves it behind? It's too much today. It's too much today.
Ahoy there, listeners, and welcome back to Filling in the Gaps Rerolled. We hope you had some great gaming since the last time you've listened, and if you're new, welcome to the table. We are Filling in the Gaps Rerolled, and we are not an actual play podcast, but we are a podcast that helps you actually play. We are 3 DMs who create stories or sessions based on randomized theme and scenario tables determined by 2 D20s. It's a great way to get the creative juices flowing and to flex those DM muscles. With that out of the way, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Malcolm, one of your hosts.
I am David, another host.
And I am Sam, last and least host.
Aw, don't say that, buddy.
I know, I'm just teasing.
You're beloved by the community. So I'm supposed to have a question for you guys, so I think I have one that will work. In fact, David, it's a question you put up there a while ago. Mm-hmm. And you guys also can, out there in the listener zone, can also submit questions to us, either through our Twitter at FitGDND or on our Discord server, which is available, which you might have to look up on our Twitter. But question for you both. What kind of animal companions do you like your players, or yourself as a player, to have?
I like to use the Sidekicks book that there's, I think it's on the, it's either Drive-Thru RPG or the DM's Guild. It's like a booklet you can buy. And I use that. Actually, they have a Crag Cat right now. My party does. Very uniquely named Crag Cat. But that's what I like. I like to use something new and different. Although I do have a hobgoblin that I play as that really wants a owl bear. But you know, I like to keep things different. A goose. Goose are the all-powerful goose.
Mm-hmm. When my some of my fellow players have had a bear, just a normal bear, as one of their they attacked they were attacked by the mother, but they stole the cub in retaliation. And so that's one. And then I once, when I ran a Monster of the Week campaign, gave my characters a blink cat that I named, oh gosh, it's been so long. I can't remember when I named it. But it was some sort of play on something from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, because if you have a blink cat in a magical world, you have to reference a magic cat, the magic cat, mm-hmm. Other than McCavity, of course. Or Mr. Mistopheles.
I've got a real answer and a fun answer. Real answer is there's a familiar that's a pseudo dragon, which is like this little cat-sized dragon that you can have as a pet, and it's intelligent and it has telepathy out to like 100 feet, so you get to mess with people mentally with that. As a joke answer,
that sounds pretty fun already. As
a joke answer, I once had a halfling ranger who had a pet snake named Trouser, and that was a lot of fun.
I love that.
Well, that's certainly something.
I forgot Cats was in theaters this January.
Wait.
Ugh.
When did that happen? When did that happen?
God, don't watch that movie. Everyone listening to this, don't ever watch that movie, ever. Please.
Just go see the play. I saw a whole video essay about how the play actually doesn't translate to film because it's a very specific experience that they were trying to create, and even on stage it doesn't always work. So it's like, plus it's by the guy who thought it'd be a good idea to do Les Miserables as a realistic film. So don't trust that man. So anyway, enough bagging on that random movie producer.
I don't know. I always like it when people are like using like something ordinary, or like, you know, you always see a bear, you see like, you know, the owl bears or something. Someone always wants a dragon. But I had one friend who wanted to use just a dog. Just like a regular dog. I think it was like a corgi or something. It was something like the DM was like, this isn't going to be very useful to you. He's like, yeah, I know. But I just like using it.
Well, now that character can die, but that dog never can. You put a corgi in D&D, you're going to break hearts. You're going to be the most evil DM ever. You kill a corgi, get out.
Also, I don't think we've aired that. For the Magic Lamp one-shot, I
think that one's going to be a Patreon, because I am not satisfied with it.
I think we're going to just release it for Thanksgiving, no?
Oh, are we?
Yeah, why not?
My turtle was named Tina, and I would call her Tina Turtle in reference to Tina Turner. But I don't think anyone got that.
I did. I like that one.
There was a lot of references going on, and I was trying to just, get you guys to touch the lamp, and you just would not. Everyone's so careful around the lamp, and I was like, dang it, this is too much.
You should just have the lamp, start talking, touch me.
That's not going to encourage anyone to do anything.
David, do you like to just play, small characters?
Yeah, often.
I think that's really funny. Because you like the goblin that bounces around and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you were, what was the kobold's name again? I can't remember.
Krizix. Yeah, I don't really like strength as a stat, so I usually play smaller characters.
Yeah, that's usually one of my dump stats sometimes.
My big thing's always magic, because you're playing a fantasy game, so do the thing you can't do in real life. You can get buff in real life. You can't shoot fireballs from your hand because you read a book in real life. I mean science, but and without anything, your blood isn't magic probably.
Unless you're Martin, no, not Martin. Wow, I'm blanking out. It's Charlie Sheen. Then your blood might be a little bit magic.
Yeah, it's tiger's blood, man.
Tiger's blood.
That's so crazy. That's another one that's that happened way too long ago. That was 2012. Most of this is going to be outtakes now, because we're just talking about Charlie Sheen.
Although I do have a question.
Yes.
Shall we roll?
Let's do it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm rolling. I'm going to go with my big old Dragon Ball Z dice again, because it's right in front of me. I'm rolling on the themes table today. And I got a lovely 15 on the themes table.
I'm rolling on scenarios, and I got a 9. Interesting.
What seems to be the combo this time?
So for our theme, from Ren, we have City of the Dead. And from Adam, the Gravi, we have seasons rotate weekly instead of monthly.
Well, when you two hear that, what comes to mind?
I believe we're supposed to ask you that first.
Alright, well, okay, if you're throwing it to me, I would say my instant reaction is City in the Underworld. That's why the seasons pass differently, is because time isn't the same there. Or if you wanted to do it differently than that, you could do time is rapid, and yeah, that's causing people to die. Or if you wanted to do it differently than that, you could do you're in the underworld, time is passing rapidly, and thus you're aging rapidly because you're getting closer to death. People who are dead aren't aging anymore, but people who are alive, it's kind of like that Hercules moment when he dives into the river Styx and he's aging real quick. It would be like that. So, except a little bit slower.
I like where this is going. I've been playing a lot of Hades in the last couple of weeks. And so...
I've heard so much about it. Is it good?
Yes, it is excellent.
Is that just on Steam?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I definitely suggest it. That's really cool. So we have a entry into the underworld where time is going faster, and every week you spend is essentially 3 months. And that's the rotation of the seasons there.
Oh, it's a rotation of time.
Yeah.
So time would go with the months rather than just a normal week goes by and you fall asleep on a Friday or a Saturday in winter, you wake up in spring.
Mm-hmm.
So so you're packing 3 months into a week basically instead of, time going the same. It's just faster seasons here. Cause I kind of got, an Eladrin village type of vibe. That's maybe the village is built around this entry into the underworld.
That could be really good.
Because that way you can visually see the seasons change rather than, as a DM consistently saying, oh, it's raining. Oh, it's snowing. It's super nice out. There's a slight breeze. I think then you could talk about how the forest, you see different patches of old and new growth because spring is always, the trees itself would have to always be re-emerging in a week's time,
Yeah.
Because if you're going through all of them or 3 weeks time.
So is this an Eladrin specific underworld that we're having our players delve into?
I don't know. I would just think they're the ones tasked of guarding it so the wrong people don't keep, going in, or maybe they're protecting people from coming out. And that's why time goes by so fast, is because, the underworld usually has a different time lapse to it. So if they're always guarding, so maybe it's weird that these elves are the ones like dying faster. It seems like they're dying like shorter times than normal elves would, who would, 1,000 years for them. If you're putting that like 3 months in there, is like their 1,000 years are being sped up. So maybe something like that. And then you could just, depending on what underworld you want to play on, you could do like your typical Hades underworld or Avernus. You could make this your Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate's another one that sounds real good. I don't have the money right now. Otherwise, I would get like so many games.
That's just kind of what my first thought was.
No, they're really good thoughts, Sam. I'm just deciphering a lot of this also because I'm trying to keep track of all these different,
right? Not
realms, but like when you involve a different realm and like time distillation and other stuff, it gets to be a lot. But at the same time, I feel like having time be part of the seasons is important. Otherwise, if you just have just the seasons passing, it's like, well, that's kind of normal, just faster. It makes for an interesting idea, but it's like basically the equivalent of, we're going to have Halloween in summer. Cool, but what's weird about that if everybody does it anyway? Like,
Right.
Yeah, so, again, just explaining why I'm...
Yeah, so basically, I'm not good at math, so how long would a day be then? Like, how would your time speed up? Because if a day is still 24 hours, but you're putting 3 months into a week, your characters would also, if they spend...
A day would be about 2 hours.
What was that?
A day would be about 2 hours.
Well, no, but like, how much of the 3 months, like, the day would be like, what, a week or so?
A full day would be, like 24 hours would be 12 days.
Okay, I see. So you have to keep adding on that, like, if your players stay there for that amount of time, like a week or so, you add on those extra 12 days each day they're there, right? So then they would also grow older in that time, and you can have that as like a point of, this is kind of a morbid thought, but like, what if this is like an elderly, like, retirement town, and this is where people go when they're like, I have nothing else to give, let me just come here and spend the rest of my, like, they speed up their death process so they can just move on faster.
I want to take that into a more positive direction, not because it's morbid, but because I just see it that way. What if it's, instead of, we're speeding it up to die, what if we're speeding it up to gain access into the underworld? Like that, they're like, the door is there. We know we have to die to get in. We're already old. We want to go in. And that's what it's about. Like, it's like, you can have, essentially, you can make there be some guard, you can make there be some guy guarding the city of, like, death, and then him just be like, oh no, you gotta die to go inside. But you see it as, like, this golden, shimmering city. Maybe it's like heaven. Maybe it's not, like, super dark, dreary place. Maybe it's like, no, this is the place. And it's like, okay, you can't get in unless you're dead, though.
So we've essentially made physician-assisted suicide in D&D.
I don't like that. Let's not do that.
Well, it's just like, your party members are doing a thing and, they're questing and such, and maybe you want to bring them into the underworld or whatnot. And so they have this very old NPC that they've worked with, but the NPC is like done. Like they've accomplished all of that, and you're trying to get them to move away from them, and they're just not. So I think you could use this as a facilitation of like, all right, let's just move on in our quest, bring him here to whatever you want to call it. And then you can start going down into the underworld and you can start doing tasks down there. I would use this as like a transfer point. One shot wise, I would say someone's like mom died and you have to go get like the soul back.
Mm-hmm.
Hercules!
I like your right, yeah. Like I like your description of it's like a nice bright, like it's a good place to spend the rest of your days. They've got hot springs, they have everything you need there. They have all the different climates because it changes all the time. And then you have these Eladrin who are like pretty much, the assistant facilitated suicide people who are like, "Oh,
can we not?"
We've helped Miss Jenkins for such a long time. And like they know everything. They pretty much know, like they give everyone like what they need for a peaceful. It could be like a hero retirement village too, maybe, of like, yes, and Sir Gregor defended us from a black dragon 20,000 years ago, and he's living out the rest of his days here.
That would be inside the actual city, because he's passed. So are we saying outside of like the city itself is where this time zone is?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm still big into the idea of the time zone being inside the city, partly because it doesn't make it assisted to suicide, but also partly because it just makes sense to me to have your underworld age you until you're dead. Like,
yeah. No, I mean, I think the aging thing happens regardless. If you're a living mortal and you enter this zone, you're aging faster. Like, even unless maybe you're like a warforge who doesn't. But I know like monks, when I think get to level 17 or something, they no longer need food or water, but they still age.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you are like an aging person, humanoid or whatever you're playing, I think this is like you go in here for something very powerful. Like, here's where you put your wish spell. You have to like go in there and then someone gives you a quest of find this wish spell for me. Thank you for reminding me to do that, Malcolm. You were right.
Yeah. I got something for you. What if it leaks from, because that makes it less awful. What if it's that effect leaking from the city of the dead into the town over? Maybe it's not supposed to do that. Maybe that's what the town's called you in for, is like, hey, our seasons are speeding up. And maybe you can even do it that they're getting even faster each time.
That's really good.
And so then it's like, oh, we gotta get in there and figure out where this leak is, but you've got a guy who's blocking the way going, gotta be dead to enter. And it's like, well, everyone's gonna be dead soon. We don't do something. So, gives you a ticking clock, doesn't make it assisted suicide, fixes.
I'm going back to that. There's definitely a group in the town that has taken advantage of this advanced time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
An elf colony that's just like, we've been alive way too long. Or people who are adventurers going through, like, this could be a great lore dump area too. If you have retired adventurers who are like going through dementia or something, depending on how like deep your players want to go. My players they're sick. They're sick people. I was
about to say, you're going a lot of dark places with this one.
Yeah, that's where my friends are.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But like dementia or something, if you want to touch on those subjects, you can. Here, I think it'd be great to be like, you're like going back to like Lord Gregor. He's the one who defended against a black dragon, and then you can like go into like some lore and stuff. Give a clue on where your friend or your party should go and such. Mm-hmm. But I love the idea of like you have to go in to fix this gate this time, so like the seasons will go back to normal, and then you can go back to David's of well, we have that group that wants to use it, so if they make friends with Old Man Jenkins and he passes, they can like maybe grab onto his soul and go in with him, sneak in with him.
Oh, I like that.
Or if you have like a paladin or a cleric in the group and they can't make this session or something, then you can have them go in the party that's there. And then when the paladin or a cleric joins back up or can make it to the next session, you can be like, by the way, all your friends are dead. You need to cast the spell. They've left you with enough resources to bring them back to life. And then they can bring the soul back.
That's really good. So I'm picturing that whatever this group is that's using the time dilation, it's like illegal in the town. They're basically trying to keep people out. So you have like a renegade. I'm going to go with Gnome. They call him a doctor just because he's good at getting through. Dr. Spazorkian.
That one's lost on me, I'll be honest.
Dr. Kevorkian is the one who like got into tons of trouble for physician-assisted suicide. He was like big in the movement. So
now I understand, and I wish I didn't.
Al Pacino actually played him in a movie about it.
I would have just gone with Dr. Death.
That's also what he was known by.
But yeah, having a character who's taking advantage of maybe it's a character who even causes it. Maybe if you want to make that character like a rogue, then you could have it be that he somehow snuck in and no one believes that you could sneak into that kingdom and get back out. Mm-hmm. So it's like, of course, everyone's like, that's not true. You can't do that. And it's like, no, you totally can. You can totally do that. It's fine. So he'd be the one character who's been bouncing back and forth, who has at least bounced once back and forth between the areas. So maybe he can even be like, oh, I know how to get in. Yeah, trust me. And then it's like awful betrayal, twists, turns. What a horrific crime.
You get to do, we were talking about a time limit. You get to do the whole, I'm going to give you this potion and it's going to lower your heart rate so you're almost dead. So you will be pulled in, but you only have so much time until you actually die.
You can do die or get noticed. Because if you have the thing where it's like, oh, you're going to be, like, your heart's going to stop for this long. Like, you're basically, gone for a little bit and then you'll bring yourself back. And it's like, but they're going to immediately know if you're in the City of Dead. Oh, that gives me an idea, actually. So you have it where it's all, like, beautiful and great when you're dead. Oh. But when you're alive, it's, like, horrific. So you could have it be, like, almost a prison if you don't get out of there in time. It's just, like, all the, like, gold and glitz and glamour fades this, like, dark, dreary black. And all the, like, people look at I've been very into Silent Hill lately. Very Silent Hill-esque where it's like, everything's fine. Everything is not fine all of a sudden.
And we can play into the City of the Dead a little bit more. The first thing when you said that, I pictured like you walk by a big banquet table, and to the dead it just looks like it's filled with beautiful decadent food. But as your party walks by, they see this gross underneath where it's just like corpses and pieces of people that all the dead are eating. As another terrifying scene in this.
No, I genuinely love it. I'm just trying to think of, so okay, if we're gonna have stuff like that, then we should make it that this is no longer heaven, to be clear, people. This will just be like not even an illusion, but kind of, I guess the mercy of death, I imagine is what you could kind of call it.
It could be an illusion to keep living people out. Like, that's a defense mechanism of this place, is it tries to scare them.
Oh, so the zombies and stuff are the fake part, and the real part is the glitz and gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's good reversal.
I think if you had a cleric of death or the grave or, some sort of like those spooky subclasses, I think they could possibly just see right through it. And then they're like, what are you talking about? This is beautiful. This is great. This is what death means. This is awesome. And then your rest of your party's like, what the is going on here? They're like, we gotta leave now. They're like, no, what? Leave? Look at this great food. And you have them like pick up, like in their eyes, a beautiful, freshly baked baguette. And then to the other players, it's like an arm.
That kind of reminds me of Bombarded when they did their Halloween special. They had a haunted house that did something very similar with like the food being one way, and then when you actually perceive it, it's another. And the way he described it was always a way that they're like, can't trust it. When it was like, there's a freshly baked apple pie that looks so good. And you're like, there's no pie in this house. So.
Yeah, the remembering the green thing was very much helpful. So thank you for that. But so what would the seasons do to like help prevent our players from getting in? Because I think there needs to be obstacles that they overcome to get in, and then a clear task to accomplish and get out. Are they looking for a person's soul to bring back? Are they looking for that wish spell? What exactly are they going to look for to get?
MacGuffin! Whatever you need to be down there, really. I mean, this is, like you had said earlier, this is a great chance to involve backstory. Great chance to put in, oh, my character had a very tragic death. As most D&D characters do. My character had a whole village die. So if she went into the City of Death, it'd be like, oh my gosh, I get to see everybody again. Yeah! But for other characters, it might be just, oh, there might be a way you could put some dumb rumor that obviously every, like, town has, that the City of Death also houses the Fountain of Youth, or the City of Death has the secret to immortal life, and that can either be true or not true, depending on what you want to do with your characters. And what that would mean for them. But you put something there that they want. Don't put something that's gonna, like, be, hey, go get this to stop your big bad. Because most likely, this is gonna be a thing that could kill your party. So unless you're running a hardcore campaign, maybe don't.
A D&D speedrun.
I mean, that's what I'm gonna give you guys when I do Crisis on Infinite Planes, which is probably out by now, if this comes out when I'm thinking it does. So.
I really like the idea of trying to go in and stop the leak. To add to that, once it's kind of known that your party is going to be venturing inside, there could be people approaching you and being like, hey, I heard that there's this specific thing inside the underworld. Can you get it for me? Or can you deliver this message? Or like small things like that, where you're basically giving people reasons or like side quests for inside the afterlife.
So I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Insidious or its sequels. I think I saw one of the sequels. I'm just mentioning the sequels because I don't know if it's in the original or the sequels, but there is they do a kind of otherworld thing where they have the ghost exist on one plane and different stuff, and they talk, again, very D&D, but they talk about, like, the amount of time they have over there, before they get basically lost. So it's not that they, like, die or anything, it's just they can't find their way out. Like, it becomes very difficult to know where to leave. There was another point I had to this, but unfortunately, it just jumped out of my brain, so.
I mean, that could work too. Your party might not be the first people who try to go in, and so there could be lost people inside that you're trying to go and rescue in addition to your other missions.
They could be crazy. Silent Hill bonus.
I like that. I like, I don't know, an image that just came to me was like the guy guarding the gates in to where the leak is like that old man from Monty Python. He's like, bring out your dead! Bring out your dead! All right, all the dead line up, please. Line up, please. Oh, you're not dead. You're not dead yet. I just think that'd be a great moment for your players right before it gets like super serious. But I love the idea of like your adventures are in there, and maybe they come across like if there's a person that they keep asking about of like, oh, what happened with this or what happened with that, or oh wait, what if they killed an important NPC accidentally or they couldn't save one. Now, while they're fixing the leak, they can also now try to find that NPC to get that important information. So you can use this now as a way to fix broken threads or put a bow tie on certain things. If you don't want to do this as a one shot. As a one shot, I think the goal is just fix the leak on the gate or on the zone or whatever, and you can get that going.
And all of these,
then just decide, just decide on what creatures or bosses you want to put in there, quote unquote bosses. It could be a bunch of different skill checks as well. But I think this is I'm like loving this because I can already see how well you can just throw this in mid halfway through a quest and be like, oh no, you got a summons from the king to go fix the entry to hell. You come in and it's wintertime, you take a nap, and you take a short rest in this village, and all of a sudden it's springtime. Now, do the seasons go in order too? Like, do we think of like,
I think they should.
You should. So spring, summer, winter, fall, or sorry, spring, summer, fall, winter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the right order. Yeah.
Yes, I remember my seasons sometimes. Here in Buffalo, we have winter, and then we have summer, and then we have winter again.
So question for you guys. How do we prevent them from coming back here multiple times and, like, abusing this? Because I had a fun underworld thing once, and then my characters kept going, oh, we die, we'll just come down to the underworld. And I was like, I did not make this place hard enough, and if I just keep buffing it up, they're going to be like, what's going on? So, how do you discourage it and make it like, you're not, even if you come back at level 20, you're not going to make it?
Once it's sealed, I think it would be a lot harder to get inside. But also, this heaven is basically has defenses built in to keep you out. And as your time gets closer, you get closer to being alive, it starts to like recognize you. And so the place itself will react more and more lethally as you're going.
Are you talking like layer actions, or are you talking like eyes of people all of a sudden just kind of turn their heads and follow you? Mr. Call of Cthulhu. I never forget that. That was horrifying.
A little bit of both.
I love that. I think if it's like, I think you set like a limit of how many times you can enter the underworld, right? So through this portal, through this gate, if you are found to be alive in here, disrupting the dead, it's kind of like an offense to the balance of the world, the cycle of the world, dead and alive. If you are walking in alive to a place where it's only for the dead, it counts like against your soul. So if you come in 3 times, if you abuse this place 3 times, it's sealed off from you. So then you can let your players know that if you guys die, you're not coming here. You're going straight to hell to become some sort of like imp or demon or something like that. Just so they don't keep coming, because if they come back, if they start killing every NPC and they're like, we can come back and do this later, then like you're just gonna be like, all right, your soul is gonna be torn apart. You'll never be able to play this character again. And something like that. Just make it hard. I mean, if it's a one shot, then they're never gonna come back because it's a one and done.
Most times when we plan one shots, they end up as one shots. Sometimes not so much. But also, I just thought of another thing. The Headless Horseman, who is the horse rider of death. And also, he has an original name in his Irish folklore I can't think of. And also Ghost Rider. So, Riders of Death coming for you the moment you leave, or if you like abuse the system. I feel like once they're like on alert, but twice then they come after you. It's like a thing of like, okay, we need to tighten our defenses versus, no, this guy's a repeat offender. We have to get him. We have to. Now I have to make sure he's not going to do anything else. He or she is not going to do anything else. So having that would be kind of fun. And then also there's tons of crazy cool builds out there for, Ghost Rider and or the Headless Horseman or the Death Rider if you want to be like super boring and have him have a head.
I really love the idea of balance. And so basically every time the dead get to come into the land of the living, other way around. Every time the living go into the land of the dead, there are some of the dead that get to come out into the land of the living. And so that adds on to what this Ghost Rider's doing, because he needs to bring the dead back and he needs to kick the living out to keep that balance. And you could have more and more powerful undead be creeping out because your characters are stronger.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that's great. I was also going to just say that if you wanted, the quest giver could be like Charon, the ferryman of the dead. He comes and finds your party, and creepily asks you to like, the dead can't fix this leak. So you're allowed in, and he gives you like a cloak or medallion or something that makes you dead or appear dead. He's like, you cannot take this off. If you do, like the Ghost Rider will come after you type thing, or take this off once you're out. And this is your one free in. Don't ever come back, or, this happens until you're dead. Or like he sees you, or he says like, we'll see you again one day type of thing. Like, but yeah, I love like the fact of like, if they do break the law, if they do break the balance, one, the dead get to come out into the living. So they're like, oh, shoot, we let the skeleton dragon through. But if they get caught, I think what would be their punishment if they're caught? Are they going to go to like the underworld jail, or are they just going to be killed, or do they get kicked out?
I think getting your soul ripped apart sounds about right for upsetting the balance of life and death. Because to this creature, to this thing, to this being, death is oftentimes portrayed very much as a villain in a lot of stories, but there has been a movement also to portray it as a lot more kind-hearted and like seemingly merciful. So I think if you play this way, it has to be very brutal in its nature, but it's like, because I'm trying to keep peace. I am the monster that is necessary for things to be as they should be. And if you change stuff, it won't be as things should be. It's very much, I don't know. I didn't even watch this movie, so I don't know why I'm referencing it. Alice in Wonderland 2, they fight time for some reason. And time's just like, you're just messing up like a core aspect of reality. Why would you do that? And he's upset in that way. And I feel that's the same way this Ghost Rider, this death being would be upset. Is not, oh my gosh, I want to kill you. It's like, do not do this. You don't know what you're doing. If things exit out, they're not supposed to do that. So and maybe you can have like an ancient evil. Maybe this is where you get your resurrections of way, way gone villains that are like from first edition even, where you're like, man, that's a name that we haven't even thought of in forever. And they're back.
Whatever comes out, it's been living in this heightened time zone, so it gets to like move faster than it would have in life, because it's been spending all this time in the quickened or death area. So not only...
Side note / fun... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So not only is it this powerful undead, it's now faster than it was when it was alive.
Side note / fun thing. We have to have Beetlejuice in there somewhere. He's got to be around. He's got to be something. He's got to be like, oh, that's the dude you meet on the streets of like death. And he's like, oh, I'll take that medallion from you. Yeah, give me that. Yeah, you don't need it. I got something for you. It's even better. They're not gonna find you. Just cover yourself with the blood of your enemies. It's okay.
That would be fun. That would be great. Just say my name. Are we playing charades halfway through this session right now?
That would be so good.
That would be fun. I think this opens up a lot of open area for the DM to take it in multiple different ways. And I think as long as you get the core part of you have to fix this crack. Because if you don't, what if you fail? If you fail, does like the wall crumble and maybe a large demon or something is able to get out? Or
no, that's when we have our campaign. That is when your one shot has turned into basically the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, but all the Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, where everything is out now, and death is just like, you let it out, you put it back in. That's the rules. Go get it. All of it. All of it. Put it back.
What kind of encounters would we want them to have while they're in here? Do we want combat-based ones? You know, a social party type-esque? All of the above, skill checks, like how would we fix this crack? Is there like a magical item they would need? Maybe they have to sacrifice one of the items they have already, so then it's a real like type of
I like that the crack is made by like an old BBEG. So the one that we talked about escaping, he made this because he knew that people would have to come in and fix it. So some kind of ritual or some kind of artifact maybe that was broken specifically. And so you get, as you kind of go in, you get to have like this little dungeon that an old bad guy set up around this because he knew someone would come in eventually and he was hoping to get out with it broken.
That's perfect too, because you can have it be the dungeon really personalized to, there was, Sherlock. So many references. But Sherlock, when they had a character die and there was a fear he popped up again, he just kept putting in his little catchphrase everywhere. So you could have that be a thing inside of like the dungeon of like all this different stuff. And it's like, you notice that this feels very familiar to you, even though it's your first time being here. And you're like, oh, is that weird otherworldly, city stuff? And it's like, no, it's not. You have a genuine memory of this. It's something familiar. And you're like, oh no. And so yeah, you have that guy escape. I'd say, and the other thing too is I think not every soul's gonna try to escape, the city just because the wall is down. If the wall falls down, I feel like it would just be, a lot of the bad guys would be like, oh, my chance to wreak havoc again. Ho ho ho.
And you get to have like a Legion of Doom if you want in this underworld of all the bad guys working together to get out. But of course, the dead can only escape when the living come in. That may not have factored into their plans. So when your party comes in, there will be some bad guys who are left behind and upset, and other ones that get
maybe
released.
You can team up with them. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got that goblin or kobold who got left behind. You're like, that was my idea. God, every time. I think you could also have like just, like an old NPC that passed away type thing, be there to give them guidance and such. But yeah, I love the fact that like they're in, maybe even like as they try to fight this dungeon, it's if they killed this big bad before earlier on in the campaign or such, inside his dungeon, maybe he builds up like a replica and they start thinking like, oh, we're in an illusion again type thing. And like the traps are the same. They like defuse all the traps and all of a sudden they get to the end and they're like, and they just see his dead body there again, like just right where they left off. But as they like go over to inspect it, that becomes a new trap. And then like the image changes and it's a brand new dungeon. And you just hear that BBEG talk again saying, I've missed you or something like that. I've grown in death. Have you?
That's really good.
Yeah, I think that, oh man, I think that could be a lot of fun. They're just all of a sudden like, you mean the guy that almost wiped out our party, giving us a heart attack fighting, and we finally killed him, and he's back? And like maybe his soul is so powerful that if maybe he even made a deal with one of like a high ranking devil or demon, that if he can bring you in, they will trade him his freedom for your souls.
I was actually thinking something about lichdom there. I don't know exactly how that would work into a thing of bringing yourself back to life. But like putting your phylactery in the land of the dead is pretty smart. So that way you're like, oh yeah, no one can get in there unless they're dead. And if they're dead, then how you gonna stop me? I'll just show up and break out again. Like,
yeah, that could be the main quest, and then fixing the hole. Maybe one of the dead people did get out, and that's what tipped them off. And they're like, we need you to fix this crack for us. Also, somewhere there's a phylactery of that giant lich you're trying to kill, guys. Maybe you want to take this one down?
I like the idea of it being an artifact that was just damaged, and in setting it back up, if you repair this artifact, the bad guy has also made it so that that's going to be his new phylactery. So if you repair it, it's fixed, but they're also a lich whose existence is tied to that now.
All right.
So you have to choose between letting literally hell on earth loose or killing the big bad, or letting the big bad loose and just dealing with that of them constantly being able to come back. I like that.
Okay, so scrap everything we just said, and we're going to make this a level 1 beginning of a campaign. And so you have your party go in, and it seems fairly easy. They meet this really nice dead guy inside there who helps them fix it, tells them exactly where it is. They fix it, they leave, everything's fine. A few quests later, you got your new lich, you got your new bad guy, and it's the old man that helped them in episode 1. And you're just like, oh, we did this.
I like this.
You have to set up like entirely how to deal with a lich whose phylactery you can't destroy.
I mean, ultimately, just destroy the phylactery, and then you just have to make your appeasement with Ghost Rider. You just... The fun part also that we didn't acknowledge about the Hell on Earth option is the fact that Ghost Rider would be working with you, which would be kind of cool. Your cat's so adorable. I'm sorry.
There's a bird outside.
It's so cute.
You could also just have it like if it playing along with the seasons and such. If it becomes like winter, you can't like it snows so much so fast, and you can't get to the door anymore. So you then have to plan it out with what season. So if you have to stay there longer, and maybe like the only time you can get real easy access is during the fall, because during the spring it rains so much or there's so much growth. Like the plants just block the door. And in the summertime, the door is so hot because it's, the sun is just up year round. So fall is the only chance you get. And you really only have a week. So if they come in the wrong time, they now have to wait 3 weeks and age. And even, so if you have that old wizard character, I mean, every year counts for them. Mm-hmm. Especially if you have a wild mage character. Cause I was DMing a one shot with some friends, and my one friend made a 89 or so like wild mage sorcerer human, and when they rolled on the wild magic table, they aged 2 years. And I was like, you're now 91, so like I think you probably have to lower your speed a little bit, and like every attack you take is gonna be brutal because them bones are old.
That's really good.
Okay, this one's shaping up a little different than we started, which I'm glad for.
Are we ready for a review and synopsis?
Yeah, I think so. I'm synopsis, so I believe, Malcolm, you are recap.
Let me try my best, because there's a lot of ideas here today. But it all starts... I keep wanting to call it the City of the Damned. I gotta get that out of my head real quick and say it just once. But yeah, the City of the Dead, it all starts with the City of the Dead, which we've decided to make our underworld. And the seasons are rapidly changing. We've decided for the most part that that's going to be due to a leak coming out of the City of the Dead. And your party is tasked either by the living or by the dead to fix it. the situations around it, whether people are abusing the system and causing for people to die sooner, or just trying to escape from the inside and trap your party within, or just trying to plan a good old-fashioned prison break, is completely up to you. Keep in mind that there are some fun NPCs that you can also have here, like Beetlejuice, Ghost Rider, the Headless Horseman. Any character tied with death, really, will really work well here. So just throw them in, have a good time, and, roll on. Did I give you enough time there, Sam?
Yeah, I think I got one. So you are a renowned adventuring party. Pretty simple. You have a request from the king you are serving currently to go help and fix a leak in the wall protecting the El Deadrado, the city of the dead. It's a city known to be the most beautiful city in the world. You get there and all of a sudden all the buildings look pretty much broken down. You see gross foods laid on a table and such. And you get to the city gate and you see an old man with a cart full of dead bodies pushing them through the gate. He turns around and says, "Dead only? Dead only may enter. Only the dead. Bring out your dead." And he goes through the door and another guard comes out, barring your passageway through. So as your players roll a perception check to see how to get in, they see a crack. And then they've noticed that this is where cold, breezy, snowy air is blowing through this crack, and this is what they have to fix. They sneak their way in, and as they walk in, they come back to a dungeon they've been in before. They walk a little further in, they see a trap that they've definitely have disabled before. They go down again, and there he is. There's your first big bad, the one that almost did almost killed your whole party. And they're confused because this isn't a beautiful city at all. And then they hear his catchphrase, "Remember me? It's Brittany, bitch." "I'm back. Oops, I did it again."
Is it Juicy Wizard? Does this confirm the identity of Juicy Wizard?
No, it's Sharon, the evil wizard Sharon. Cali Girl Wizard. But yeah, your party now has to defeat the big bad, and he's super powerful, or she's super powerful once again. Brittany's back, bitch. Get ready for a fight. I hope that was okay.
Also,
I took a little...
That's good.
El Deadrado makes me very sad that we didn't mention Road to El Dorado in here at all, even though that would have worked really well.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the pun for it until just now.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Filling in the Gaps. Our theme music is Today by Linby off of the album Drive. If you like it, you can hear more of them at linby.bandcamp.com or on the Actual Play podcast Bombard It. If you're looking for us on social media, this is David. You can find me at Deadrado18, that is Daedra18.
You can find me at The Ruler of Rhyme.
I am at DMMambo5.
On Twitter. You can also follow the show at FitGDND or on our Discord server. We're always looking for new themes and scenarios to add to our lists. Give us a shout out. The show is edited by our wonderful audio gremlin, Andrew Brown, who you can follow on Twitter at xnubinator912x. We are an Obtuse Audio Studios podcast. You can learn more about Obtuse Audio Studios at obtuseaudio.com. It helps us out incredibly if you're able to give us a 5-star review on iTunes or any other podcasting app that you're currently listening to us through. We would really appreciate it. And one last time, I do really just want to say thank you for listening. We'll see you at the next episode.
What's in your thoughts? Oh, what's in your mind? What fills your head and what leaves it behind? It's too much today. It's too much today.
Obtuse Audio.